You're listening to 17 Carat K-Pop, the podcast that's a little bit of everything with a K-pop twist. From pop culture critiques to the history of K-pop to interviews with people in the K-pop industry and K-pop artists themselves, to concert and album reviews, to a deep dive into the discographies of different K-pop artists, to K-pop news updates, to stories about the music industry more broadly. This show tries to cover everything about K-pop and K-pop as it applies to the larger music and concert scenes. Visit 17caratkpop.weebly.com for more information about the show. That's 17caratkpop.weebly.com. Hello everybody and welcome back to 17 Carat K-Pop. Today on the show, we've got a lot of culture and marketing economic stories to get to. I want to use a K-pop analogy to help break down what's happening with GameStop in Reddit lately. That's a huge mess, but I want to try to make it simplified and use K-pop as a reference point. I also want to talk about Blackpink's upcoming concert and some insider details about the setlist length and more things you can expect from the show, as well as other virtual events coming up, the future of virtual live streams, Big Hit Entertainment's decision to invest some of their money in YG Entertainment, news about the music industry with a K-pop twist that we have to get into. So let's just dive right into the music industry stories of the day. The Melon charts have a new feature under the Trends tab now where you can see real-time charts. It's called the 24 Hits chart, updating once an hour for 24 hours every day. This comes after a long time where fans have been requesting that the Melon charts make it easier to find new releases. It gives you real-time chart rankings, but in a way that may cloud out brand new releases in favor of just long-term favorites that are still charting high. Fans wanted to see the newer stuff charting as well, and so the Melon charts just created a brand new chart to do that. What I'd predict for this chart is that it will change how it's calculated, because currently the real-time charts for Melon and this brand new chart specifically are 60-40. 60% of the chart placement is based on number of downloads a song has, 40% is based on streaming. And I think there will be more of a parity there. Maybe not 50-50, but over time maybe 45-55, more evenly split of a ranking. Because Spotify is about to enter Korea if it hasn't already. Spotify is making its debut there, as well as in more countries all the time. And so with Spotify and other streaming services joining Melon and other listening platforms in other countries, I just see it as inevitably the next step in this music streaming world will probably be having streams count as much as it would back a few years ago even, when people would just download music and buy it, and that was viewed as the main indicator of a song's popularity. Now it's not about those actual financial purchases, but about the streams. By the way, it seems like people think that artists get very little of the money that comes from Spotify streams of their songs, and that they get a lot more money from actual iTunes downloads. That's not actually always the case. There's actually a brand new article about that on Rolling Stone, and I can break it down more in another episode. But anyway, I will just say that I think streaming will there needs to be a way for streaming to become more lucrative for artists, and so I see the chart placement as going to be affected by that future of music. Speaking of the future of music and streaming and all of that, the company home to BTS, Big Hit Entertainment, continues to make waves time and time again, and now it's really making a big splash by investing $63 million in YG Entertainment. What this move means is, I think it's going to become more apparent, honestly, during Blackpink's first online concert that's coming up very soon, because that event they've been planning for literally months. And so knowing that Big Hit is now investing in them, I have a feeling that money is going towards stage production and live performances. So get ready for some really big out-of-this-world online performances from YG Entertainment and Big Hit Entertainment artists, because we've already seen that technology used to really amp up Big Hit Entertainment shows, and I think we'll see that with YG artists now too. I should have seen this coming, honestly, them investing in YG, but I didn't. But for a long time now, as we've said ad nauseum on the show, YG Entertainment is considered one of the big three K-pop companies, but seem to be threatened and at risk of losing that placement because of Big Hit Entertainment replacing it. So it's interesting that Big Hit Entertainment kind of is replacing it, by buying some of it, investing in it, instead of just like overpowering it. So it'll be interesting if they invest even more in the future or what happens there. But I just also say that I would keep an eye on this news, and I find it noteworthy because the $63 million I think will go to big productions. Let's talk about more of Blackpink's plans for their big show. That was actually going to be in December but got postponed due to the pandemic because there needs to be a certain social distancing criteria for the amount of staff members that can be there for the show, and they needed a certain amount more, so they waited for the current spike in cases in South Korea to decline to do this again, which also gives an indication that this is going to be a big, larger-than-life show with a lot of special effects, and people need to be on set for it. Apparently, the girls say they have been preparing for this live stream concert since they first learned they would postpone the rest of their actual in-person tour. And apparently they've been working on this show and rehearsing for it for 8 months. That's almost like a baby's worth. 8 months? That's a lot can happen in 8 months. But they've been apparently working on it since then, and which just really, again, goes to show the scale of this event, probably. There really isn't much other information about the show out yet, but the set list is going to have anywhere from 15 to 20 songs, so I have a feeling it'll basically be their whole discography, but we'll see. My prediction for the wardrobe is that it will be very much like the black and white and silver looks that they wore at Coachella and also wore last night for James Corden's show performance. I feel like that is their official live-streamed event attire, but we'll see. Last detail worth noting about this show is that Blackpink is going to be partnering with YouTube, unofficially but officially, for the foreseeable future. The reason this show is getting so hyped up is not just because people miss Blackpink and because the anticipation is there, which actually ended up indirectly getting added to the anticipation because of the postponement, even if that wasn't the plan, that's what happened. But also it's a big deal because I do think it's going to be a marker in a turning point for Blackpink. I mean, obviously they're already huge, but I mean, in terms of their the frequency we see them on TV and streaming and stuff globally as opposed to just in South Korea and occasionally on a USA show, I just feel like this is a moment there'll be a lot more, it'll be a lot more normal to just see Blackpink in Western media on a regular basis. Because YouTube is a huge part of their globalized appeal here. Remember, their Coachella, their iconic first K-pop girl group ever to perform at Coachella performance was live streamed on YouTube. They were also the first artist on YouTube series from September of 2020 called Released with different musicians. So they have been, like I said, maybe not officially, but also kind of seemingly officially partners with YouTube. You will probably see more Blackpink recommended videos in your feed no matter what you watch going forward. And also keep in mind that this event is streaming through YouTube. It's not like a V-Live show or anything like that. It is just through YouTube for paying subscribers, which is really smart because when you pay for the YouTube channel access for the show, you get a 2-month-long membership. So you won't just get access to this concert, but whatever the Blackpink channel decides to upload for the next 2 months, behind-the-scenes content of the show or something else, you will get access to that. And then after those 2 months, you'll probably want to extend your purchase and your subscription, or just you'll have a hard time canceling it. Like, canceling all online subscriptions tends to not be easy. But anyway, this is an interesting gateway moment, I think, for fans to just have Blackpink be more of a normalized presence they see on YouTube. Knowing me, I have to put this in the context of NCT. With NCT, what they've done that I think has led to so much global appeal post on YouTube all the time. They have all these different vlogs. We don't just have the separate vlogs like Johnny's vlogs and then Taeyeon. Well, Taeyeon only has had 1 or 2 so far, but, maybe more in the future, fingers crossed. And then we have the channels that are separate for their music, the dance covers, their vlogs. Then there's just other reality show content. It's just so much is on YouTube, and BTS as well, and other big names. Some of the most well-known names in K-pop use the power of YouTube massively. I mean, think of Psy with Gangnam Style. That kicked off so much in terms of people being aware of how great South Korean music is, and it's because it was a viral sensation on YouTube. And why they choose YouTube is an interesting feedback loop, because they choose YouTube, and then YouTube chooses them for the money and everything. And they choose YouTube because YouTube actually has better streaming qualities in some ways. Like, they can handle a larger amount of viewers without crashing. And so that's really why that's actually the confirmed reason why Blackpink went with YouTube for this specific show. YouTube can concurrently hold a large audience, millions of viewers at once, in a way that other websites just simply don't have the bandwidth for. An interesting comment from the global head of artist relations at YouTube, Vivian Lewitt, quote, "Not long ago, when we rolled out our live redirect feature, which enables an artist to go live on the platform, Blackpink were one of the first artists to do that when it was still in a beta form," unquote. So they are getting access to those features that are new to websites that are in the trial rounds. They're able to do that. They have that early access. So Blackpink and YouTube, definitely an iconic duo I see for a long time going forward. In other virtual show related proof that South Korea is just on top of the game when it comes to using tech and adapting to the life circumstances by using tech, helping the entertainment industry stay afloat by utilizing their technology. The Namsan Creative Center had to shut down earlier this year, but now it's going to be totally rebranded and turned into a studio for virtual art performances of all kinds. It's not officially going to be able to open until April of 2022, but it is currently being worked on, and there's a lot already we know about this studio. It's a 2-story building that's going to have all sorts of music and dance and drama, theater performances. All sorts of performing arts will be able to have live streams that are recorded there. There apparently will even be room for a few filming and commercial sets. The director of the city government's culture headquarters, Yoon Yun-sik, said, quote, "In the post-coronavirus era, both in-person and virtual performances will coexist. The Seoul Metropolitan Government hopes that artists can perform diverse stage arts here, using the studio equipped with the latest equipment. We hope the studio will be more than just a production facility. We hope it will support contactless art creation, offering quality visual performance art to the people." Comments about it like that one I just read are pretty summative of the future of the entertainment industry, because honestly, I totally see some virtual elements of shows and more live stream concerts as becoming a thing in the post-vaccinated world. Because think about it. When we're all free to go to actual in-person concerts again, everyone's going to want to go on tour. And not everyone will have the disposable income. And so there's just going to be a lot of artists who don't have the same amount of people buying in-person concert tickets they would have had pre-pandemic, no matter what, no matter if we're all vaccinated or not. There'll still be some hesitancy to go to an event for a long time, especially when there's competition for your money. And so I just think in the long run, artists will really benefit from keeping some virtual shows, even if that's just in addition to touring. Maybe that's another good source of revenue for these artists and a good source of creative expression. aespa would have a really cool live show, or G-Idol, a group that dabbles with the digital avatar concept. That would be a very cool show to watch on a live stream and watch the 3D characters come to life. It's a cool way to show off new technology and perform new songs. Plus, it helps with accessibility to shows from anywhere in the world. Speaking of virtual concert events, one more to add to your calendar is coming March 6th, when TXT is going to have an online fan live that will have apparently some offline components, unless the COVID social distancing requirements change at that point. But they are having this event in Seoul, and there will be access online as well. So that's March 6th. The other day, I told you to keep an eye on Team Wayne, Jackson Wang's company, because I definitely think they will have a big global impact. Same for 88 Rising, the collective that spotlights and highlights all of this new emerging Asian talent. It was founded in 2015, but in just 5-6 years, they've already really developed quite the roster of artists. They're also the hosts of that Head in the Clouds festival in LA every year. That was actually, it would have been so dope. Mino from Winter was going to perform before COVID hit, and they had to cancel it. So they have some big plans for sure. And they just launched that SiriusXM channel of their own. So anyway, I could go on, but they've been making big moves in just a few years. And the main reason I'm talking about them today is because they just signed a first look deal with Sony Pictures, which is huge. Not only will you probably hear from 88 Rising a lot going forward, maybe they'll even have like a virtual version of the Head in the Clouds festival this year, assuming that we don't get a festival season in 2021 at all, but also expect to see them more in the TV and film worlds as well. Maybe you'll see more recommended 88 Rising videos in your YouTube feed. Although for reasons that you are lucky to not know about if you are unaware, I certainly hope they change the name or at least change the number associated with their production company, but I digress. Another company making huge moves, Wattpad. Yes, the app that is most well known for being home to much fan fiction. Wattpad is just this Canadian-owned company that, well, it started in Canada, and it just seemed like a nice alternative site to write fan fiction. But Wattpad really is trying to mainstream its identity now. It just got acquired by Naver, the huge South Korean firm we've talked a lot about on this show. And Wattpad now is working on and in different development stages for 90 different film and TV projects. Not necessarily related to their fan fiction reputation, but still, 90 different projects already, and I'm sure more on the way. So stay keeping your eye on Wattpad as a company, because who knows what they have up their sleeve. But now that they're acquired by a South Korean company, I have a feeling those investments will definitely pay off and be ready for some really good high-quality movie and TV for sure. Jack Ma, the famous billionaire who co-founded Alibaba, he seemingly went missing since October, but he finally made his first appearance since then on this teleconference. And he didn't look against his will entering this teleconference or anything. He looked fine. He originally was perceived to have gone into hiding because people hadn't seen him after he criticized certain business regulations that the Chinese government was imposing, and authorities had blocked this Alibaba stock offering to Ant Group, which is this financial services company. Anyway, for the story's sake, just know that he had this stock offering of $37 billion for Ant Group, and that sale was blocked by Chinese authorities, and he suddenly went MIA, and people were like, what's up? But it seems like all is fine. And after that small appearance, Alibaba's stock value rose 8.5%. People will probably keep their tabs when a stock rises like over 2%. So for it to rise 8.5%, people are noting this. That was actually not my last story. I want to transition and provide an explainer that I was just thinking about the other day that I thought might be helpful. Because everyone is really worked up about or just confused about what is happening with GameStop and Reddit, or why we even keep hearing about GameStop and Reddit. Why are those words being repeated all over the news and social media? What is happening? And as the slogan of the show, a little bit of everything with a K-pop twist, indicates, I will add a K-pop twist, and I think it'll help explain what is happening here. So imagine that you are in charge of a group order of albums. You know, when fans online will say, if you want to be a part of the group order, fill out the form, and you'll be part of the group album order, and then I'll buy all the album copies and send them out to you. You're that person, the head of a group album order project. And these albums, let's say they're each $20. So you say, if you want to be part of the group order, fill out the form and Venmo me $20. Or whatever. Somehow they get $20 to you. So you get $20 from everyone, but what you didn't reveal to them is that you know there's a sale on these albums really soon. So they're going to be sold for half the price in a few weeks. So you hold on to everyone's money for a few weeks and don't tell them about why you're waiting to get the albums to them. This year you could easily do it. You could be like, hey, because of the weird travel differences, because of COVID, it just takes longer to deliver albums, and that's your excuse. And then when it's time for the sale, you buy every album copy for $10 each. But everyone else had given you $20 earlier. So you still pocket money because you only spent half of the amount of money you collected from everyone. So you get to pocket the rest. You'd been talking amongst yourselves, and turns out you're not just doing this. Other people who are in charge of group orders decided to do this. They all held on to their money the past few weeks waiting for the sale to drop. So now everyone is trying to buy these albums. The stores are just overwhelmed. The companies are overwhelmed. They just cannot produce and distribute albums fast enough to meet this demand. There's an emergency meeting called. The agencies get together and decide, what do we do to decrease this demand, because there's just too much of it. What do? We don't know how to handle this demand. We can't keep up. And they say, well, we can limit the amount of customers who are clamoring for these albums if we increase the price. Then less buyers will still be interested, and some of them will drop out of the contest for these albums. So they increased the price to $40. So it's double what it originally was. So everyone was asking for the $10 sale, but it's like, nope, no sale. And then when that still didn't work, they said, you know what, let's just increase the price to $40 an album to get rid of some of that demand because they have such a low supply. So now each album is $40, and you are a great devoted fan and loyal to the people who gave you money, so you are still determined, even though it will plunge you into debt. So you plan to buy these albums, but you only have half the money you need now because they doubled the price. And you can't even pocket anything because you're broke. You need to spend all that money and more on these albums now because the price is up. The thought is, well, you could just buy these albums still and then pay off the debt later and just make sure you get your hands on them before other people do. Just, fight the competition while you can before it gets even worse and maybe they raise the price to $60 each or something like that. Or you could wait and decide, you know what, I bet the sale will come back around. I'm just going to wait until the album's price drops back to its regular $20. When the clamor dies down a bit, they will do that, and then I will swoop in and just pay. I won't get to pocket anything, but it's okay. At least I won't be in debt. I'll pay what I was going to pay no matter what. They did not expect the sudden surge, and they didn't expect so many group order coordinators like yourself to be so loyal and so determined to still buy those albums. They totally underestimated K-pop fans, as they often do. So now the company just does not know what to do because they could just drop the price and then face another rush and learn to deal with that surge in interest, or they could rise the price even more, just wait for demand to die down a bit, for some people to leave the buying spree. They're not really sure what to do because suddenly now the supply and demand balance is a lot less predictable. Because usually you could just assume when we have a sale, there will be more demand, but not that much more demand. Or when we have regular price, we'll have this amount of demand. When we increase the price, the demand will drop. But now you've seen that actually that's not always the case, and sometimes these people are just waiting for the right moment to strike, and it may not be the moment that you expected them to want to buy those albums. Anyone with an economics degree, feel free to just chime in and tell me where I'm going wrong with this analogy or what, but that's basically how I've come to understand what's happening here, and that's just me as my degree's in sociology, but that's how I see it happening. So basically, in this metaphor, the albums that went on sale are the GameStop stock. People saw the GameStop stock was so low and thought we could actually make money by shorting them, which is a way to describe basically what you're doing if you tell all your friends the albums are $20 and then only spend $10 of their dollars and pocket the other 10. You, in this situation, the group order coordinators who are buying these albums, those are the Redditors, the people on Reddit who shared and spread the word really fast about this plan to buy up GameStop stock while it was cheap. It's kind of like buy low and sell high, only kind of the opposite, but anyway. The company that is freaking out and doesn't know what to do about their album supply and demand and how to balance those again, Wall Street, is everyone who invested in GameStop and not Reddit, but invested in GameStop and now doesn't know what to do about GameStop or Reddit users. And they just don't know what to do now because the stock drops and more people want to buy it when the price is lower, or the stock value rises and less people maybe want to buy it. But either way, there's some good and some bad with the current situation with that stock. When a party you did not expect to get involved gets involved. So with the album analogy, these companies and agencies had probably prepared for individual people to buy their albums, but people planning to buy them in bulk during a sale, that probably threw them, like, oh, we didn't really think about that. And the same with this, where they had never thought, hey, what if a group of people on Reddit start ironically deciding to buy GameStop stock because it's so low and then realize, oh my gosh, we're actually making money off of this, and keep doing it, and it spirals out of control. So how to regulate those conversations and choices is the whole dilemma happening here, and that would happen in the album case as well. So that's what's happening. The stock market is just so unpredictable right now. It's up in the air. People had no idea it could be, the rules of the game could be rewritten so fast by an unexpected population. In the future, if you want more breakdowns about world news with a K-pop twist, That's kind of my specialty on the show, so I'll probably do this again. But that is the latest news with a K-pop twist, and the latest in terms of the concert and music industries as a whole. Thank you all for listening to the show today. Tomorrow, I believe I will release a 17 Talk episode. I have a couple others that I'm debating when to release, but I have a lot of fun random content coming this week and next, so stay tuned for a lot more from the show going forward. Thank you all for listening. Talk to you all soon.